Sherry is not present tonight, so at 5:30 this meeting can start. Are there any disclosure of interest to share a report? I see none. Looking to confirm the agenda for tonight. Everyone's had a chance to review that. Bobby, would you like to share the resolution prepared?
Certainly. That the Aylmer Police Services Board approves the December 8th, 2020 agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thanks, Bill. Second, Pete. Looking to adopt the minutes from November 10th. Everyone's had a chance to review those. Okay. No delegations to note.
Oh, excuse me, through the chair. I do have a resolution prepared for the minutes if you'd like.
Oh, yes, please.
That the Aylmer Police Services Board approves the November 10th, 2020 minutes as written.
So moved.
Jack, please.
Second.
Seconded.
We'll go with Pete. Thank you. We have no delegations with us tonight.
Should we accept that, Toby, Madam Chair? Have a vote?
Yes. All in favor?
C'est moi.
All in favor. Okay, moving to unfinished business. Under Malahide Police costing, I think I can speak on behalf of the other board members that all are aware of the comments that were made from the Malahide Council meeting. Looking to propose correspondence return to the Malahide Council, and we have a resolution prepared for that. Bobby, would you like to read that?
Certainly. That the Aylmer Police Services Board directs a letter be prepared and forwarded to Malahide Town Council for their next meeting, respecting comments directed at the Aylmer Police Service.
I'm be happy to move that.
Moved by Jack.
And I will second that.
Okay.
Second by Bill. Thanks. All in favor? Great. Okay. 6B, anything under the Police Service Board policies? We have nothing to note.
Through you, Madam Chair, I do have one item that I would like to discuss under Malahide policing costs.
Yes.
There was a request by Bayham for costing as well, due to the fact that Malahide has turned down the costing proposal. I believe it would be appropriate for us to send correspondence to the chair to advise them that we would not entertain costing for Bayham right now because of the geographical area, just to close off that loop.
Okay.
It is my understanding that there was a request from Bayham Council some time ago.
Okay.
That is correct.
That is correct, yes.
If in fact that's the case, then we should draft a correspondence to them advising them of our position.
Okay.
And Nick, you might have been privy to that, or that was before my time here.
Yeah, that's correct. There was a request that was put on hold while the Malahide exercise went through.
Through the chair, we can do follow-up on that.
Okay. Thanks, Bobby.
Get through the chair. Just a major question. I really don't know what you're talking about. Can somebody give me a 2-sentence explanation?
Sure.
I wasn't here.
I was here when Aylmer was going through the OPP costing. When the town of Aylmer had requested OPP costing, we also were talking with Malahide Township about possibly doing costing there, and then a request came in from Malahide, and then a request came in from Bayham for costing for Bayham Township as well.
Okay.
Correct, Nick?
Yeah, that's correct. And then everything went on hold when the costing fell through, and then we stayed on with Malahide, and Malahide was a key component of that. If Malahide was successful, then we could have entertained the Bayham side of it, but now we're jumping land geographical borders.
Yeah, so we're sending the letter to Bayham. Is that right? Okay. Okay, thank you.
So Bobby, will we need a motion to have you draft that correspondence, or have you just made note of that?
Yeah, that will just be noted in the minutes and taken care of.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So moving on to 7A looks at the board bylaw to adopt the town of Aylmer's procurement practices. Has everyone had a chance to review those? They were added to our package.
Yeah, to you, Madam Chair, just a couple of points that I would like to make. Number one, under section 4.9, double I, A, E, D, and E, talks about the specific purchases from vendors that are that specialize in certain equipment, and certainly we're in that position. So I don't necessarily have a problem with the bylaw because it does identify that in there. Just for your awareness, there are usually computer purchases that are very specific to policing and policing needs, and the vendor on record generally is Dell. So that's who we procure all our computers from. But it is covered under that section 4.9. And also for cruisers, we do have a cooperative purchase agreement that allows us to purchase cruisers at a discounted rate. So we do that as well. And we also do that for vehicle tires, which in some cases do exceed the $2,000 mark.
Question, Pete?
To the chief, if I may, is that in the sole source provision of the bylaw, chief, that you're concerned about?
Yeah, yes, it is, and it's covered under the bylaw, so I don't necessarily have an issue with the bylaw the way it's written. Nothing needs to change. I was just making the board aware of the fact that it is there, it is covered in case we, well, I mean, I know we need to use it, so it's good that it's there.
I believe there's a section, just to follow up, I believe there is a section within the bylaw that states that sole sourcing is permitted under certain circumstances. So I think that would give you the wiggle room that you would need.
It is, and it's under that section 4.9.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions about this? Okay. Bobby, could you share the resolution that you've prepared for this?
Certainly, Madam Chair. That the Aylmer Police Services Board gives first, second, and third readings to Bylaw 2-2020 to adopt the Town of Aylmer's policy and procedures for the procurement of goods and services, namely Bylaw 34-19 and 49-19, as may be amended from time to time.
Very good. And looking for a motion? Pete? And the seconder?
I'll do that.
Thank you. All in favor? Bill, you're frozen, but
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're
You are.
frozen, Bill. Your picture looks
Oh,
good,
really?
if you're in favor, say aye, and we'll move on.
Aye.
Okay, thanks. Very good. So 7B, the request for police credit card. Look to you, Chief, too.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. I mean, credit card purchases is the way to go when it comes to items that we don't bill through our normal procedures. In the past, what we've used is petty cash. I can tell you that in 3 years that I've been here, I have not used the petty cash simply because it's an old system of doing business, which is not an industry standard. In fact, a lot of nobody uses basically petty cash anymore. It is at a risk, and certainly my position is that with the exception of confidential informant money that I keep As part of that petty cash, my recommendation would be to close off the petty cash account and replace it with a credit card. That way everything is traceable, everything is tracked, and all the purchases are identified on the card itself, and we don't have any issues with having to deal with cash transactions.
Any questions from any of the members?
A question through you, Madam Chair. Is there a limit? Does the town have a limit on the credit card purchases? There must be a max, or is there no such limit there?
So my recommendation would be that it does have a limit on it. It's not something that we would make large purchases for, but certainly there are times, for example, during the last protest, some of the officers had to pay for certain items, food or whatever, and that really shouldn't be the burden of each individual officer or the officer responsible for the event. Yes, they do get reimbursed, but it's just not a good industry practice to use your own personal credit card to make purchases on behalf of the corporation.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Credit cards are necessary. What is the limit that you would propose on that?
Whatever the standard, like I don't see any need to have in excess of $1,000 or $1,500 limit on it. Certainly, to my experience here, we've never purchased anything over $1,000 through our petty cash. So again, it's for those emergency situations where we need the credit card to process the items that some vendors just don't use the bill.
Sure. Well, that's good.
Chief, you, through the chair, if I may, you've suggested $1,500. Would you ever get two $1,500 purchases in a row or during a month statement so that $1,500 would be too low?
I don't think so. And again, I'm not sure what the corporate cards are right now or what the amounts are for the ones that the town has already. Like the fire chief, I believe, has one, and Jenny has one. Whatever the limits are there, I would suggest that we have the same type of a limit on ours. But certainly, I don't see a need for like a $5,000 or $10,000 limit on a credit card that is used rarely.
Okay, thank you.
I think, Bobby, we already have a resolution prepared on what it is you're requesting.
Yes, that the Aylmer Police Services Board ask Town Council to issue a credit card to the Chief of Police for required purchases for the Aylmer Police Service.
Should we amend that resolution to state that there's a limit, or would that be something that would be directed from the town anyway?
I believe, if I could through the chair, that I believe there is actually a $5,000 limit on the cards. If don't quote me, but I believe that that's what has been set by the town's administration.
Okay. Very good. A mover, please. Would somebody like to move that resolution? Sorry.
Bill did, I think.
Bill did.
Yeah.
Bill's still frozen to me.
Yeah, well.
Really?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Sorry, Bill. I don't have a real picture.
You've had
Story of my life.
You've had worse said about you, haven't you, Bill?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, if someone else can see Bill, they can let me know if Bill's moving things then. But I see Pete and Bill.
I'll say it verbally then, Toby.
That would be wonderful. Thanks. You've got your eyes closed in your frozen shot.
Oh, okay.
All right, moving on to reports.
Did we vote on that?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Is everybody in favor? I've seen a show of hands. Great, all in favor. Okay, thank you. Moving on to the reports that were attached. Has everyone had a chance to review them? And maybe, Chief, you can highlight what you'd like to share.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just going down to the trial balance. of the report. With respect to finances for policing, and that is on page 26, start of page 26. Again, we're in very good shape after 11 months. We're only at about, well, we are at 82% spent. The anticipation is, or the expectation for the end of the year is anywhere between 92 and 94%, so we'll be well within our budget. In fact, there should be a significant savings at the end of the year. I don't foresee any major expenses in any of the categories for the last month of the year. Again, that is a good news story in terms of the finances, and unless anybody has any questions on specific items of the trial balance, we are in pretty good shape.
SCP.
Thank you. To the chief. Chief, are any of the expenses incurred in any recent events and or COVID recoverable?
Yeah, so we have tracked all the expenses related to COVID, including the protest. That has been submitted and is to come out of the COVID expense that has been allocated to the government to town in relation to COVID-19 expense category.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
The only comment, Toby, if I may, I just want to say, Chief, to you and all the officers doing a fantastic job on keeping us well within budget or below budget numbers.
Absolutely.
Well, it's everybody's contribution, so I'm not going to take credit for it, but certainly it's been a challenging year in terms of personnel and COVID-19 and all of the other things. So everybody has stepped up to the plate, and we are in pretty good shape come month of 11. Moving on again to the police services budget. Again, it is over the projected or the budget that we have set for 2020. And again, the major difference there, or the reason for that, is contract negotiations and some of the legal fees that we've incurred as a result of those negotiations, including COVID, which I have submitted to put it on as a pressure and have it moved over to that side of the budget item under the COVID. But in any event, we're still in very good shape in terms of the overall PSB and police budget. So I have no concerns there. Unless there's any questions, I'll move on to the quarterly report with respect to the crime statistics. Again, Crime Stoppers, no investigations for November. We're at 7, which is the same as what we had last year, that have been followed up by the officers and assigned to the officers. Community events, we had 2 for November, which brings us up to 37 in comparison to last year when we had 48. And again, one of the major reasons for a reduction there is simply because of COVID-19 restrictions, in particular school events and school engagement by the officers. That has been significantly reduced, and we continue on with a challenge in that category as we're trying to deliver some of the programs, specifically VIP and Be the Real You. I have an officer engaged right now to see if we can resume some of that service delivery starting in January. And she's been liaising with some of the principals at local elementary schools to see if we can back and deliver those programs. Foot patrol hours, really good month again in November. We had 55 hours or 55 incidents, recording 54 hours. We're at 400.25 for the year. lots of good work being done that way. Park patrols, nothing for November. But if you look at the overall for the year, and some of it has been because of reports of vandalism. So we have created focus patrols for that area. Hence, we have 34 park patrols for the year, which is significantly higher than 7 that we had last year. Focus patrols, we had 1 created for November. Total for the year is 10, which is consistent with last year. In terms of criminal charges, we had 5 youths processed in November. Total of 74 for the year. And again, the officers have been busy with criminal investigations. If you look at 59 last year, in comparison to 74 adults this year, so much more engagement with respect to criminal investigations. Drug investigations, same thing. Majority of them are related to the new legislation with respect to marijuana and operation of motor vehicles. Looking at 911s, we had 15 for the month of November, 130 total for the year, which is much lower than last year when we were at 191. So that's good news story. We have managed to, or people have managed to reduce those incidents, and that can be attributed to hopefully some of the media releases, and people are just a little bit more cautious about making sure that their phones are not accessible to children, and that they're not misdialing the 911 unnecessarily. 2 sex assaults in the month of November that were investigated. Total 9 for the year, and 67% clearance rate. Violent crime rates, we had only 2 incidents reported for the month of November. A total of 45 incidents for the year, which is significantly lower than last year when we were at 72. So again, that's a good news story as well, because the crimes against persons have dropped significantly this year over last year, and those are the ones that are always have a bigger impact on a community. Prevention programs, nothing for November. Social media, quite active in the month of November and for the year. Again, most of that stuff involved around COVID and some of the other major things that we have posted on our social media platforms. So good work there in terms of keeping our community aware of what's going on, and certainly people are not afraid to make comments about certain things on the social media. Clearance rates for property crime, we're at 16.7% for the month of November, 16.1% for the year, slightly below what we had last year. School visits, we had 3 calls for service and 2 visits for the month of November. Total for the year is 11, with 12 visits, which again significantly lower because of COVID. Situation hub meetings, I attended 4. We had 1 situation involving a person that resides in our area. For the year, we had 36 meetings and 5 situations, which again, much higher than last year in terms of the situation coming from our community. And that's reflective, again, of homelessness and some of the other things that are occurring with substance abuse and close proximity to St. Thomas. Some of these people are transient and visit both communities. So we deal with them, St. Thomas deals with them, and OPP deal with them. So increase in that category. But at least they're accessing the services that are available, which is good. And we're identifying them as the ones that are in that critical category. Acutely elevated risk. Unsolved follow-ups, again, officers are doing a good job in the community about following up on the certain investigations. We had 52 for the month of November. Total for the year is 531 follow-ups, significantly higher than last year when we were at 97. Road safety, good job being done by the officers in terms of charges. In total this year, 923 for the year in comparison to 963 last year. Lots of good work being done there by the officers in pretty much all the categories when it comes to enforcement. And I've got no issues there. Same thing with the ride programs. Actually, the officers have really stepped up to the plate since COVID and since the restrictions with respect to ride checks have been lifted. We are doing a good job and actually having some success in apprehension of either a 3-day suspension or arrest for over 80. And obviously right now we're in the festive season, which we have received grant money that we're utilizing for paid duty rides. And the expectation from the officers also is that every night, as long as weather cooperates, that they do at least one ride check per shift. And that's being done, which is again good. Fitness test, one fitness test was done in November, for 2 for the year. And again, with respect to financing, no issues there as far as the budget. Obviously, we were very busy with all the platoons with respect to the protests that occurred in our community on the November 7th, and follow up with investigative leads and reviewing all the evidence to do that. Yeah, 2 impaired driving charges, kind of interesting. One resulting in a drug seizure and drive impaired by drugs. So the male that and the other one actually was a male that was on a lifetime suspension for impaired operation. So his vehicle has been seized for 45 days. So again, good work being done with respect to road safety. Looking at crime charts, starting on page here, doesn't matter. Violent crime trends, really good news story there. We're only at 42 this year. In comparison, if you look at 2018 and 2019, we had 64 and 69. So looks like we're going to be in really good shape in terms of reducing that number of violent crimes. And they're generally against persons, so good reduction there. Property crime, we're likely going to be about the same as what we had last year. 178 last year. We're at 170 this year, so we'll be relatively the same this year as we were last year. Drug investigations, again, very similar 2-year averages for 2018, 19, and 20. No issues there. Domestic violence, good news story again. It looks like we're going to be at a 4-year low for domestic which is we'll reduce that in 2019 to 110, and we're only at 74 for 2020. So we're not, I don't, unless something major happens, we're likely going to be around 85 for the year this year, and that is really good. 9/11, again, good reduction in terms of where we were last year. I'd like to see that more around the 2017, 2018 numbers. And that's certainly something that we can focus on for next year, but a good reduction for this year nonetheless. Foot patrol hours, again, very good job being done by the officers despite COVID issues. and it looks like we're going to have a really good year in terms of foot patrol hours. And mental health calls for service. Slightly up last year. Again, one of the initiatives that we are working on with Elgin County OPP, in agreement with Lynn, is to try to get mental health worker tied in with Elgin from St. Thomas because of the demand over there. And that looks like it's going to come to a fruition, and we're hoping to have somebody in place early next year to be able to share that resource with Elgin County OPP on a regular basis, where they can actually do some proactive work with some of the people that are suffering from mental health. So stay tuned for that. And that's my report with respect to crime charts and crime trends, unless anybody has any questions. Okay, moving on to meetings.
I have a
Pete,
question,
Pete.
Madam Chair.
Sorry, go ahead.
Through the chair, Chief, other than motor vehicle instances regarding marijuana, how has the legalization of marijuana affected the police service or the police services in general? What impact?
Well, I can only speak on behalf of us. We really haven't experienced any major impact in terms of investigations or incidents other than marijuana readily available, but because it's only a ticket now, we don't have to process the individual to criminal court. So that's actually a reduction in our workload with respect to enforcement of marijuana laws. So in a sense, that's a bit of a good news for us. I mean, we have seen an uptick in people that have marijuana readily available or cannabis readily available in the vehicle. Actually, we had a couple of impaired by drug charges laid, not necessarily related to marijuana use, but some of the harder drugs. But other than that, like it's for us, it's actually been a reduction in workload simply because of the fact that you don't have to go through that criminal process and the amount of work that's done usually with criminal charges.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question for the chief through you, Madam Chair. That's an impressive amount of statistics you always give, so thank you. The question is, do you keep any records on how many times you would assist the OPP, or how many times you would actually go on calls outside of the borders of Aylmer?
Madam Chair, yes, I do keep those statistics, and that's been reported to Malahide, specifically in terms of this process here. But definitely, I keep those statistics, and they're always available. If the board wants, I can certainly present that to you. We keep all of those stats.
Yeah, I thought maybe I had missed them, but certainly I, for one, would appreciate knowing that kind of information.
Yeah,
Good. No other questions? Chief, is there anything else you want to share through the reports?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, again, looking at my activities for November 4th, 11th, 18th, and 25th, I was involved with situation field teleconferences. Pretty much everything is being done by teleconference. 2nd of November, we had a teleconference emergency management meeting. 5th of November, Nick and I were involved in operational planning for the protest. 6th of November, Elgin County Management teleconference specific to the protest that was going to occur on the 7th, or that did occur on the 7th. Quite a bit of engagement with Southwest Public Health Unit with the teleconferences on COVID information for the 10th 12th, 25th, and 30th of November. 11th of November, Nick and I did a debrief on the protest, and on the 13th of November, we did some consultation on charges for the protest with the Crown Attorney. There was a question about from one of the media outlets in terms of costs related to the protest. And that was at about $11,000. No issues with business planning initiatives. Again, protest on the under point 5. That took quite a bit of planning and resources in order to deal with that, and that went very well. Nick did an excellent job on the operational plan, and him and I worked on that together, and on the risk assessment matrix, and that pretty much played out exactly how we predicted that. So that was good. And I submitted a grant application under provincial grant application process for sexual assault investigation, and we're still waiting for that. And I completed the response and cost for interim reports for the community safety grant, and that was sent to the government for reimbursement. And again, that's mainly related to school liaison officers and program. And that is my report, Madam Chair.
Any questions around any of that for the chief?
Nope.
Just in terms of correspondence that has been received, I really don't see anything that requires me to address the Police Services Board or you, Madam Chair. All of the information is just general information for us that's been shared with the officers, specific to release direction, and then also COVID information to change from to the color coding versus numbering.
Chief, are you speaking to something within your reports, or are you moving on to the correspondence section?
The correspondence section, sorry.
Okay, I think before we move to that, we need to have a resolution for the reports. So Bobby, can you read your resolution?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I wasn't sure if the chief wanted to speak to the proposed budget under his reports.
Oh yeah, that would be a good idea. Thanks, Bobby. I saw that there, and I'm like, why is that budget item there? I thought I presented on budget already. Anyway, the proposed 2021 budget has been submitted to town for their review, and I can tell you one of the items that the increase that we're looking at is 0.5% from last year or from this year to 2021. So pretty much we're going to be at exactly the same what we've had last year in terms of our budget. The one itemized area for reserve fund is the cruiser. And there was some discussions in that correspondence from town, CAO, with respect to cruiser being budgeted at $10,000 a year. And if you look at the last item, or the last page of my budget proposal, I included $25,000 in there because our cruiser purchase is every two years. So we need to have approximately $50,000 in our budget every 2 years in order to purchase a cruiser. So that capital expense is $25,000 in there for next year, and there'll be another one for a year after. That way we can have sufficient funds to purchase the cruiser. Now it doesn't cost us $50,000, but certainly with a retrofit and some of the other things that we need to do with a new cruiser, we're right around that ballpark figure. Nick, if you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, no, that's correct. This latest purchase, by the time the final bill comes in for the that area, just slightly under 50,000 for this year, for 2020.
Pete, you have a question?
To the chief, through you, Madam Chair. Where did the $10,000 a year come in then? Was the cycle at 4 years at one particular point?
That I couldn't tell you, because my understanding was when I took over from Andre, and the way it was explained to me, it was a cruiser purchase every 2 years, because we have 4 in our fleet, and obviously you're not going to replace. So by the time that 4th cruiser comes for replacement, it's already at year 4 or 5. So that's how that came about. But realistically, we replace a cruiser every 2 years. And certainly, if in fact that's the case, then I'll have to clarify that with CAO or Lisa. And I sent her a message to have some discussions around that to see how that's been budgeted in the past. Because I know we had some issues with the cruiser purchase this year. So I just want to make sure that moving forward that we have it, A, that we have adequate funds for the purchase of the cruiser, and B, how was that done historically to make sure that we stay consistent with those numbers and have sufficient funds to purchase those cruisers. Unless, Nick, you have an explanation for that.
No, I don't, Chief. When I was reading through the documents there, I saw the 10,000 as well. And in addition, they had a kilometer clause in there. Once a cruiser hit, I think it was 140,000 kilometers that it was scheduled to be placed. Well, you know, we've got a couple right now that are above that, so the 2-year route is probably the best way to go.
Just as a follow-up, then, it sounds like the numbers need a little bit of jigging, because if you're replacing with a fleet of 4 and you're doing them every 2 years, $25,000 a year won't cut it.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, we don't replace them every 2 years. There is a cycle that actually it's 4 years, I believe, or even longer in some cases. Because we do have some cruisers in our fleet that are more than 4 years old. And miles out, to be quite honest, they're still operationally in good shape.
Okay, that makes better sense.
Yeah.
Through you, Madam Chair. Sorry. There is a clause in the board's bylaw in respect to the operations of the vehicles. It does state that the Aylmer Police Services Board directs the Chief of Police to maintain a fleet of at least 4 operational police vehicles at all times. It is further understood that one such vehicle will be replaced every 4 or 5 years, and or when the mileage of the police vehicle is in excess of 14,000 kilometers.
140,000.
Sorry. And also there is a clause that says about the reserve fund that the board shall allocate no less than 10,000 each year to the reserve fund, in hopes that the funding will realistically cover the cost of one police vehicle.
If I may, Madam Chair, and I'll just add to Bobby's comments. Going back several years ago, yes, we did put $10,000 away every year, and only because at that time it was, like she said, a 4 or 5 year cycle, where as soon as the cruiser hit 140K, then we would start looking at replacing. So it could be that it could last for 6 years, but 9 times out of 10 it was 4 or 5 years or less, and henceforth at that time a cruiser was approximately $40,000. That's why the 10,000. So if we need to increase that, then we need to increase that.
Great.
See you, Madam Chair. Again, I'll have to take a look at the budgeting for that cruiser replacement every 2 years. Because if you look at the 4 cruiser cycle, it makes sense that they would be replaced every, so that one that we purchased, for example, last year, is going to be it's going to take about 4 years before, or even longer, before we replace that cruiser anyway.
6 years.
Or possibly 6 years. So again, that's one of the things that we did take a look at, and it is a 4 to 6 year cycle in terms of flipping the cruisers. It is just a funding portion of it. I don't quite understand how they funded $10,000 a year and expect to replace the cruiser every 2 years. I think I put in $25,000 for this year's budget. And that's basically what put us over by that 0.5%. Otherwise, if we go back, let's say even a reasonable amount of 15,000, which again, if you budget it in the budget as you cycle every 2 years, but that it should work. But again, I know we had some issues with it this year. I just want to make sure that we don't run into that again moving forward. So I'll have to clarify that, but the worst case scenario, if you look at that budget for 2021, we're at a 0.5% increase, which is, this is our first very, very slight increase, and chances are we're going to be well under budget next year if I look at the trends over the course of the last 3 years.
Through you, Madam Chair, I have a question. Has the budget been submitted to the town already? Budget?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, I did submit the budget to Lisa for consideration for 2021. I mean, they request.
Shouldn't, I'm not trying to be a stickler here, but shouldn't the board have approved budget before submission to the town?
Yes.
Yes, they should have, but it's not, the budget hasn't been approved. They realize the budget hasn't been approved. It's just a number that's been submitted, and if we have to rejig it, we can rejig it and resubmit again.
Okay.
Otherwise, what they did is they just put whatever we had last year, they just put exactly the same numbers in there for this year. But it's certainly open for discussion. The board hasn't approved anything yet. I just submitted what she requested for the 2021 projected budget.
Okay.
I guess it's for their planning purposes as well. And Peter, you may be able to enlighten us on that portion of it.
Thank you, Chief.
The council has not seen any policing budget. There was a number that was included in the 2021 draft budget numbers that were just presented last night, and not specific numbers, just that some numbers had been drafted, but council hasn't seen any numbers for 2021 yet.
Okay, so that might have been just for their own planning purposes as far as potential tax increases or implications.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So nothing's been approved in terms of what has been submitted, I would presume, from any department. But certainly they want us to sort of have projections in terms of what they're looking at for potential impact on tax increases.
Any other questions for the chief around the proposed budget or any of the reports that he shared?
Would you like to have the chief clarify the cruiser and then maybe bring the budget back to the January meeting for the board review, or?
For the 2021 proposed budget?
Yes.
What does everyone else think?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, that's yeah, Madam Chair, that's fine. I'll be glad to do that. No problem.
Thanks.
Through you, Madam Chair, I do have a resolution for the reports.
Okay, thanks.
That the Aylmer Police Services Board receives reports items A to H on the December 8th, 2020 agenda.
Someone to move?
I'll move.
Thanks, Jeff.
Second.
Pete seconds. All in favor?
I read the correspondence, and the chief is absolutely correct about there's nothing there for boards. In fact, when looking at it, the amount of information that's there, if they have to look at that every week or so, it's a wonder they have room to do anything else. So I kind of empathize with the amount of information that comes from SolGen.
Good. Okay. If there's no other questions or comments, Bobby, I'll get you to read the resolution around correspondence.
Certainly, Madam Chair. That the Aylmer Police Services Board adopts correspondence items A to N of the December 8, 2020 agenda with the actions to be taken as noted.
Thank you.
So moved by Bill.
And second?
I'm waiting for Pete to move, but I'll second.
And all in favor?
I thought you were frozen, Pete.
He's moving. I'll take that as all in favor. Thank you. Okay, we have no outgoing correspondence to share. So the next resolution is moving us into closed session with regards to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees.
Madam Chair, can I just bring you up to speed on one item before we go into closed session, and that's with respect to personnel. As per my report to you and your approval, we have hired the experienced officer from Toronto. He's former constable, finished his schooling back in April of this year. So he's kind of an experienced officer, but he's not. He's starting out as a fourth-class constable with the retirement of one of the officers here. So he's looking at starting with us on Monday. And so that's again from my perspective, it's going to be good for us and good for him. He's close to our community, just on the outskirts of London, and he'll bring with him some experience from his traffic duties with Toronto, and certainly he'll be coming general duties with us.
Chief, through you, Madam Chair, can you get back when we can, based on COVID, to be introduced to the folks on the police service?
Yes, absolutely. That's my plan. Is once we reconvene in the in-person meetings, then we'll certainly have them introduced.
Okay, thank you.
Want to extend a welcome on our behalf. Okay. So now moving into closed. Bobby, do you want to read the resolution that you have prepared?
You're muted, Bobby.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Let me try again. That
Do you want me to read it?
the Aylmer Police Services Board adjourns to closed session at 6:24 p.m. for matters of personnel about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees.
I'm going to move.
Bill so moves.
Pete and Bill, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. So moved.
Wake up, Josh.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Josh.
Good night, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
I'll call you later.